Good evening. Welcome to the August 12th, 2024 Conservation Commission meeting. This meeting will be broadcast live and recorded by Foxborough Cable Access. It being 7 o'clock, no public comment, no general business.
Yeah, you can do general business because I accidentally put this for starting at 7:10. So we'll do everything else first.
Do we have any meeting minutes to approve?
Yep, I looked over the meeting minutes from 7:29. They all looked good to me. Did anybody else have any?
Anybody have a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Should we look at the request for certificate of compliance?
Right, so the Souza Ave and Barros Lane was that River Ridge one from last October, November, and you guys wanted to wait for the grass to come in. And Dave, I believe, has gone to see it.
Is this
Yes.
the one where they had dumped a bunch of fill sort of in a section where they weren't supposed to, or?
The parcel of land they were getting, they filled in way beyond the road boundary layout. And it was just barren, and it was eroding, it was stony like this. So there was nothing really except weeds growing there. So we took a look at it, and I talked to Bill about it, and he talked to the developer, who's been always nice. He's been a gentleman in doing things, once you point it out to him. And he restored it this spring with a spring mix of grasses, or conservation mix, and it's holding. So he also flattened it. It looks like he brought some more fill in and flattened it out and got rid of the steep slope.
Okay.
And someone is mowing the lawn.
So they were requesting a certificate of compliance, so if you guys are happy with it, you can make a motion to sign the certificate of compliance.
Now, just to let you know, this project was for the road and the drainage systems, not the individual lots that came in later.
Okay. Just for the infrastructure, early on. All right. Do you feel satisfied? You were out there, you looked at it?
Yes.
Okay.
They cleaned up all the erosion control barriers and socks and everything like that. It's not they had forgotten about it, but they did a good job, cleaned everything up.
Okay.
So it looks nice.
You want to make a motion?
Make a motion that we issue a certificate of compliance for DEP 157-576.
Second?
All in favor? We have another request for certificate of compliance. That's for McCasland Way.
Yeah, so this is a septic repair. I asked you guys to somebody to go by it.
I did go by it. No one was home, I just took a quick look.
We
Seemed
did
okay.
get, George Collins was the engineer. He sent in a letter that says he inspected the site and found it to be in substantial compliance with the plans. They sent an as-built plan. So I guess it's back the way it started, so it should be all set. Did you go out there, Dave?
No, I didn't get a chance to get that one.
This was just a septic repair, so as long as their yard is back to a yard.
Yeah, but we got an as-built plan from the
Yep, we have an
engineer.
as-built
Yeah.
plan.
Stamped. Okay. Anybody want to make a motion to issue a certificate of compliance?
I'll make a motion to issue a certificate of compliance for DEP 157626.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Sign that one. Conservation land updates, so I don't know if you guys read Foxborough discussion or not, but the Lincoln Hill camp on Oak Street,
Okay.
people were up in arms about trees getting trimmed or something, so Chris Gallagher, there were National Grid tree trimming people in town, and they were parking at the DPW. But since they're starting construction there, Chris Gallagher said they could park over in the Lincoln Hill parking lot. So the parking lot was overgrown, so the tree company trimmed the paved areas only so that they could park their equipment there overnight and their employees during the day, so that they can go around and do the tree clearing on the streets for National Grid. So there's no hotel being built there, there's no whatever else they said was being built there, and they're not taking down all the trees. And they're gonna clean up the area when they're all done.
And I did do a quick drive by there too, and the parking lot looks nice and neat. And
Yeah, so they're gonna clean all that up, and then Bob Bodie also talked to Chris Gallagher, and he's gonna get him to clean up that Mechanic Street area, I think, that they used as staging a couple of years ago, and they kind of
Okay,
forgot to
yeah.
clean that up,
Yeah.
so he's gonna make them clean that up too. So,
All right.
and that's about it for land updates. I don't think I had any other people calling.
Any site visit updates, other than the ones we just talked about?
I know Bob's been keeping an eye on Taylor Road, because they keep parking the equipment on top of the septic system. Bill, you know anything about that?
I talked to Elliot yesterday, and I just asked him, we were passing in the hall, I said, how's it going? He said, everything's going good. I said, okay, good. He didn't say that there was any issues.
And there's not a lot of room to put stuff out there, so,
So they would say they're parking on the street.
well, the parking on the septic system, or the tank or something, they were leaving some kind of big equipment on top of it, so
The
Bob's
tank is H20, so the tank is right, I remember, the building's on one side, the tank, 2 tanks are on that side, and then the other side is the leaching field next to the garage. So if they're parking on the tank, it doesn't mean anything. They can take a tractor trailer.
Okay, because he's afraid that it'll crack sometime in the future.
That would suck for him.
Yeah.
You know, he'll have to put a new one in, but I'm not worried about that. It's an H20 tank.
Okay.
That's right.
I don't know, being
7:07, close enough.
7:10.
Not like when I was a kid when you can play with your watch, right? Mom, no, Mom, I'm not late.
We could restart if anyone comes in, but it being 7:08, continue the hearing on the 119 Morse Street, DP number 157641 matter.
So, Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen, again, for the record, my name is Bill Buckley from Bay Colony Group, and I'm here representing the applicant, 119 Moore Street LLC. And this is a continuation of the hearing we had on July 15th, where we talked about the initial presentation of the project, and there were some issues that the commission wanted us to address, both in the plan set and then in our response. So what you have in front of you, you should have a plan set in front of you. And I'm sorry I can't put this plan set up because, I don't know why, but I have the other drawing here, which is the rendering, which is 99% the same thing. And I'm gonna kind of talk you through the changes, and you can look at them on your plan sheet. So one of the reasons why we couldn't close the public hearing since then, since July 15th, is we were waiting for the Fish and Wildlife National Heritage and Endangered Species Program to respond, because the site does contain an endangered species, which is Blanding's turtle, which, if you recall, is the same endangered species as was River Ridge, what you were just talking about. And it stretches from Moore Street all the way to almost Cocasset Street. So that whole area is a habitat. So we had to file with National Heritage at the same time we filed with the commission. What I want to point out, and I think I pointed out the other time we met, was this project had gone before had been before the commission, I think in early 2000s, for a commercial site. And at that time, we had to file with National Heritage. I think we filed twice with them. I think the last time was 2018, and they had given us what's called a non-take. So yes, there is habitat there, but if we build the project according to the plan that we're showing you, in addition to the additional comments that they put in their decision, that it will result in a no-take. And it's things like we have to put up barriers during certain times of the year, and some other items which I can't remember, which we also did during the River Ridge project. So that came back, the no-take, and the commission got a copy of that. That was around August 1st. So the changes we made to the plan are mainly based on the stormwater pollution plan. So if you could turn to sheet 7 of yours. And there were comments that were brought out by Mr. Thomas and some of the commission members. And what I'd like to do is just kind of walk through some of them. So again, this isn't what you're looking at, but it's the same area. So this area up here is where we're going to be running a water line through where the existing water line is, and we're going to run a water line in the same location, almost location. Then we're going to tie it into a 10-inch line that runs from Morse Street to Belcher Road. And on my initial plan, I only had sediment control on the east side, the downside as you're looking at your plan, because north is to the, you can see to the upper right is north, so it's to the east side. So Mr. Thomas made a comment, said he'd like to see it on both sides, just to make sure the contractor doesn't go crazy and stays within his lane. So that is about 15 feet wide now, which is pretty tight, because they're going down almost 6 feet. But you can definitely work in that area if you're careful. So that was one of the changes made. In addition, he asked for us to add some additional erosion control, sediment control down in this area here. Even though it's not within the buffer zone or riverfront, he wanted to make sure that it wasn't running off into the neighbor, and it's this area right here. Didn't run off into the neighbor and, eventually make its way into Bleachery Pond. Another issue he wanted to make sure, we didn't show on our initial SWIP snow storage areas. So if you look on your plan, we've added snow storage areas down here along this edge. And the reason for that is one of the comments that was made was to try and keep as much as possible outside the riverfront area. You can see that over here, the riverfront area is along this area here. So we're pushing it over here because that's a logical place to push it as you're plowing down the driveway. It's not a street. And then same thing over here. There's a grove of trees that we're going to push. We're going to be working right up to it, and we'll move it in this area here. A small piece of it is in the riverfront, but the vast majority of the area is in here, and it's barricaded in by the trees, which we're going to save as part of the our work. If you look over here, if you look on the right side of your plan, you can see I've added a significant amount of narrative. It's not on this plan, it's on your sheet 7. And it's labeled erosion and sediment control BMPs. And then I talk about procedural notes. So if you go down in the first erosion and sediment control BMP is almost to the bottom, we talk about material piles. I think it was Mr. Opatka brought up the fact that he wanted to make sure that all material piles are placed outside of the riverfront area. And then I made a note that they shall be encircled with a silt sock and construction fence in according with the detail on this sheet as well. If you go down to the next, under procedural notes, I've added some notes that we will have a pre-construction meeting where the final SWIP will be supplied to the conservation agent and town planner. And then it has to include a construction sequencing plan, and it'll all be updated and supplied to the town. So that was something that the commission has been doing the last couple of projects. I just put that in there just to make sure we have a belt and suspenders there, no question. If you look at the bottom, it's number 7 on that procedural note, that we wanted to make sure no parking of vehicles nor storage of materials is allowed in any of those future restoration areas. I think that was a concern of the commission, to make sure we weren't compacting it, the soils in those areas. So that, we've added that as well. And all of these things, as we talked about, when we gave you a draft SWIP, but really it's just a shell until we've identified a contractor, until he tells us how he's gonna build this thing. One of the questions asked was, at what point is he gonna build the bridge? I don't know. So before we start construction, we'll have him on board. We'll have an engineer, I assume it'll be me, but it might not be on board. And they'll be able to complete that SWIP. They'll have to file it with the EPA to obtain their NIPD's permit. And then when all of that is done, we'll have a meeting with the commission, with the agent and with the planner and anybody else who wants to come. Sometimes DPW wants to come. In this particular case, I don't think the police or fire will be interested because we're not going to be on the road. But we'll have that meeting and we'll brief that SWIP. And then the SWIP continues to I call it a living document, because as things move on, that thing continues to change. Locations of piles change, maybe the locations of barriers might change, but at that point, at least we'll be able to brief a complete document to the commission instead of the draft, which is what you have right now. One of the other items that was requested, as we talked about at length in the initial discussion, was the fact that we're filing this as a limited project. So there was some discussion as, hey, can we file this under maybe a redevelopment? Because, clearly there's already development there. Can we file it as a redevelopment? So I asked Lauren, look, unfortunately, who couldn't be there tonight, she's on vacation too, to talk to Mr. Thomas about it. And I'm giving this secondhand, which I hate to do, but my understanding is they said, yes, we can't do this as a redevelopment project. In a redevelopment project, you must have less. So the impervious area for a redevelopment project must be the same or less than what is currently there. And that way you can, you don't have to meet all of the criteria. We can't do that. And the reason for that is because the currently degraded area, which is pavement and gravel, is about 8,500 square feet. In order for us to build this driveway, according to what the Zoning Board of Appeals, the public safety people have told us to do, which is, this thing is about 15 feet now, it's gonna go to 20 feet, excuse me, and then there's gonna be a sidewalk on it. So we're going from, we're gonna be altering about, I think it's over 13,000 square feet, 14,384 square feet of alteration in order to build that. So I guess my question is, any person would ask, well, why do you have to build it so big? And the reason for that is because even under the Wetlands Protection Act, it's the planning board, which in this case is the ZBA because it's a comprehensive permit, gets to choose what is considered the minimum practical safe width. So in this case, they've chosen that number. We didn't have that initially. Initially, I was gonna keep the driveway going in all the way to the bridge the same, but they wanted it widened to 20 and they wanted a sidewalk, so we had to add that. So we have to do it under a limited project, which I believe that the commission has. We've given you enough proof under the elements of proof in the Wetlands Protection Act that you can make that determination. But in addition to that, I think we've gone above and beyond to mitigate the impacts of the construction. So Lauren has prepared a detailed restoration plan, which you received in the initial filing, which was Appendix D. It was the Wildlife Habitat Evaluation Report. So the restoration area involves the removal of about 1,120 square feet of pavement, which is in this area right here. You can kind of see it outlined. And maybe if you turn to sheet 6 of your plan set, you'll see it better. So that area is being, that's pavement now. We're going to tear that up and revegetate that. And then you can see down along this area here, this area in here, which is all grass right now. no invasives in that area, it's just grass. So what Lauren has come up with is a riverfront restoration plan that involves plantings. It includes a total of 34 trees and 68 shrubs, which is not just in this area, but also as you're coming in the driveway on the left side as well. So the restoration area is here and here, and then we have a little bit of restoration up in this area here. So altogether, we have approximately 30,000 square feet of previously landscaped area that we're augmenting with plant trees and shrubs that will augment the riverfront area. So it's more than a 2-to-1, what I would call restoration, even though there is really no restoration called for under the regs under a limited project. So I think that's it. I'm open to any questions.
Any questions, guys? Tanya?
I'm good.
Dave?
It appears this probably won't start till spring, right?
Yeah, you know,
If you're dealing with it.
probably not. Probably not, but I hate to say that because we've had 3 mild winters in a row where contractors could work the whole winter. But
So, you're widening the road and building the base, and you got a rain garden along the side of it.
yes,
Would that be done as part of the road work or done later? Because that's in the restoration area.
yes. It's a tough thing because typically that area is going to consist of, we're going to take out the topsoil and subsoil. We're going to put in a mixture of the soils. You've seen rain gardens. But then if I build a driveway or if I silt it up, I have to rip it out again.
Yeah.
So typically what I ask them to do, and same with infiltration basins, you'll see is I tell them to build it to a certain point and like leave the bottom foot untouched so that when the time comes, when it inevitably gets kind of mucked up, and the site is stabilized, which we should be able to stabilize this portion of the site fairly quickly. It's already paved, so that'll be ground up, regraded, base, and then a base course of pavement. We're not going to be going well outside that area, because we don't need to. So I think that site should stabilize very quickly, and then we could get that rain garden in fairly quickly. The other one up top is be a little different, because that's going to be taking a lot of the runoff from an area that is going to be disturbed. So the short answer is we'll partially build it up front, and then we should be able to complete it fairly quickly once the roadway base is down and it's stabilized. And if you wanted to put that in as a condition, if you wanted to make sure that that's written in there, we can do that as well.
So,
I could add that into my narrative over here on sheet 7.
So during the construction, and you have the heavy rains, like we've had this year, that silt basin, after you go over the bridge, is going to handle the runoff, or are we having just natural runoff with no edging?
So we can't, so on that side of the base, on that side of the bridge,
Yep.
we're trying not to touch that area because it's riverfront area, plus the water table's high. So really, it's not possible for us to, well, everything's possible. It's not practical for us to build infiltration basins in there because of the depth of water. So that area there, the reason that rain garden is there is for water quality purposes. So it's just going to be sheet flow. And I know it's hard to see, but it's pitched, as you're coming in off Morse Street, the driveway's pitched like this.
Yep.
It's not crowned, it's pitched like this. So it's going to sheet flow into that rain garden, and then once the rain garden is overwhelmed, it will continue on its way toward Bleachery Pond. And we've balanced the flows into Bleachery Pond which is our design point.
I'm talking more about the main project itself. And we only have base coat down for, the access to the construction site. Anything that's open and exposed is gonna be sheet flowing off. But is the silt stock proposed to stop it? Because you're not gonna have an edging or anything like that to stop it.
Yes, until the top coat goes on, because so you have the base coat. The
Right.
top coat is where the berm is gonna be put in, and, the silt sock will be acting as it. And I know, I'm guessing in your mind, you're thinking of Lawson Farm, which of course I think about too. But this site is flat,
Yes.
and the soils are absolute sand. They're pervious. Lawson Farms are on the side of a hill, and it's glacial till. So we had huge amounts of runoff with the slope and with the type of material. I don't think we're gonna have that issue here.
That was my question about the snow storage too. Like, you don't expect that to like melt and then just, that's pretty flat?
No, it's not flat. So what they'll do is they'll just dump it over the edge of the driveway and sidewalk, and it'll be along the edge there, and it will melt. So that's why we want it to be in an area like that. If you're looking at DEP snow storage regs, they don't want you to put it over like a catch basin. They want you to put it in a grassed area or a vegetated area, excuse me, so that when it does melt, you're gonna get probably at least, that's pretty close to 100 feet travel distance before it hits the water. So I think it's a good location for it. Inside there, you can see how tight everything is. There's really no room in there. And then on the back edge is all town-owned land. And we're working right up to that edge of that land. So this area is pretty much the only area that makes sense.
So that storage area, if we're looking at the site to the left, those lines you have there, that's basically going to be the storage area for the snow?
Yeah, so it's up in this area here
Yes.
and up in this area here. So those areas there, and they're inside the limit of work. So the heavy red line is my silt sock, and then the kind of dotted line, which isn't coming up well on the small plan, is the where we're going to do snow storage. When I say snow storage, I'm not talking about, when they plow my street, they just plow it up on the side. It's the same thing that's going to happen here on every street. But when they have to, when the material when it gets to be the point where they have to pick it up and move it somewhere, this is the areas that it will be put. So it's just going to be like your street regularly, and then homeowner will have to, or maybe the condo association will do each of the driveways or whatever. It will go in people's front yards.
So who's responsible in making sure that it's done properly? It's properly brought there, stored there, or plowed there?
Condo association.
Condo association.
Yep. So typically, and I don't know if Foxborough does it. You can make it a continuing condition, of the snow storage. Sometimes I see it happen is they want the operation and maintenance plan, which could include the snow storage plan. They want the operation and maintenance plan recorded, so nobody could say, "Oh, I didn't know." That they'll still say it, but at least you can point to that, as opposed to a continuing condition. But what I find, this is just me, is the condo association usually will call, at some point, I get a call from, say, the developer, and the developer says, condo association wants to know what's the maintenance requirements for the rain garden, the sewer, or whatever it is. And I tell them, just read the operation and maintenance plan that's in the condition,
Association
what's in the order. So that's who's responsible. It will be the continuing responsibility of the condo association.
And having that recorded with a permit would be a good idea.
A lot of towns do that, if you want to.
You could do that.
Yeah. So that little bump out you have on the site plan 7, you got materials, storage,
Yep,
vehicle storage area.
yep.
Is this where you plan to put the loom and stuff, or whatever you're digging out? Is this one areas or
No,
no?
no, really what I say, mean is, I think they're gonna put vehicles there.
Okay,
And then I don't know how they're going to phase it, but what I imagine here's what I imagine is gonna happen. They're gonna go in and cut down every tree on the site, within the limit of work. They're just going to. It's just the way it is, when you're dealing with something this tight. So all the trees will be knocked down, and then they'll pick an area where they're gonna strip the material, and that will be, well, okay, we're gonna build these 3 buildings first. All right, this is gonna be our initial area, we're gonna strip material. And then as they move around, that stuff will move, or they'll use it. So the short answer is, I don't know where the initial is, other than the fact that I say that it has to be outside the riverfront area.
so is this gonna become like a little park setting at the end? Or
Yes.
gazebo or
Yep.
whatever?
Yes, that's what it is. It's gonna be a little flat area, and there'll be a gazebo in there.
Okay. I think they should hire Bill to be the environmental monitor here.
Oh, a couple more years.
Any more?
No.
You go. Becca, do you have?
Question this to,
Good.
the water line, it is part of this permit. Is the town putting it in or the
No,
contractor?
no, it's up, the contractor has to put it in. But anytime you're putting a water line on, the town is standing there watching you do it.
So that could be done probably at a later date. The road entrance work will probably be the first thing.
Maybe, but a lot of times they want to they'll get that up to rough grade, subgrade, and then put the utilities in and the drainage.
Yeah.
And then finalize it. So, I don't know, but it's a difficult site because that water line and sewer and electric have to go through the bridge. I was gonna put it initially under the bridge, but the developer had it, when he did the bridge design, he decided he wanted to go through the bridge. That's fine. I think it makes Chris Gallagher happier. I don't know why, I've told Chris, I said, I don't know why you care, it's private. If there's a problem, it's up to them to fix it. But it's going through the bridge, so, we talked about this earlier, when's the bridge getting done? I don't know. So, is he gonna run the utilities from both sides and just stop? Or is he gonna put the bridge in? And I don't know. I don't have those answers. He's gotta come back and tell us when he finishes his SWIP and his construction sequencing plan.
You see, they installed your sewer line project on Walnut Street.
Yeah, that's the same type of sewer. And we're actually expanding that Walnut Street now. It's gonna go to the Taylor School. Oh, one thing I forgot to mention, Mr. Bodie brought up, he wanted the sewer sleeved. So on the last sheet, you can see that we've added a sleeve to that. And it's on the upper right corner, 10-inch Schedule 40 PV sleeve over 3-inch low-pressure sewer line on a 6-inch bedding. So we've added that as well.
Oh, yeah. Anyone else?
Looks like they addressed everything that we mentioned at the last.
Do we have any public comment? Okay.
So the only thing that, keep in mind, this little triangle by the river, that's ours, that's conservation land there.
Right.
So there'd probably be some type of fencing in here to, whoever's doing the restoration, where to go.
What are you suggesting? Do you want to put along this area right here?
Yeah, just to let them know that, that's as far as the limits of restoration.
Yeah, we could put a construction fence along that line so
Okay.
that they know. Yeah, that's a good, yeah, I like that.
And as long as they don't park on it, I mean, that's gonna make us happy in both those areas.
That works.
So if they do park on it, someone's gonna tell them.
Is that the line? Is that the property line right there?
Yep,
Okay.
That's what the black line is the property line?
yep.
Okay.
It goes with the pond.
Are you gonna wanna show that on the sheet?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'll add that onto it. Sheet 7. We did receive our DEP number. There was a comment about MIPA. John looked at it and said, yeah, we're not triggering any MIPA, which I knew. So,
Okay.
and it's in his memo
Okay.
of the 29th.
So, Bill, do we mention anywhere here that no parking is allowed in the proposed restoration areas?
Yes, so it was on sheet 7, procedural notes, number 7, no parking of vehicles nor storage of materials is allowed in the future restoration areas.
Okay.
And we'll make sure that gets into the SWIP too.
So is Laura proposing some plantings in the compensation storage area?
Yes, because it's also going to act as a rain garden,
Oh, that one, that square one?
yes.
Okay.
So it's compensatory storage for what we're filling out front, and then it's going to act as a rain garden as well for water quality.
Oh, nice fine print.
I know, there's so much detail on there, it's,
Unless anybody else has any more questions, does someone want to move to close the hearing?
I'll make a motion to close the hearing on 119 Morse Street, DEP 157641.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Dave, you all set?
Yes.
Okay.
Did we get a copy of the NHESP letter?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, it's part of the record, should be.
It should be attached to the permit too.
It says that it will be.
So, with the minor changes, you submit a new set of plans?
I think the only change you need to add is
Yeah.
that fence, right?
I think that's it.
Right. So if you make it a condition, I can just add it to the plan set, and then when I give you the signed plan set,
Would
we'll be in it.
issue the order, right? I want to make a motion to issue an order with the condition that the plan will be updated with the fencing.
I'll make a motion to approve the NOI with the updated marking of the fence on the plans.
I'll second it, but I also think we should put a copy of that letter in from Division of Fish and Wildlife and an operational maintenance plan as part of the order.
Yeah, I think Diane was going to include that as conditions within the,
Yeah, I mean, I'll talk, if you want to read the letter, that's the letter from Fish and Wildlife. I think I sent that out to everybody.
You did.
Yeah.
And in Bill's letter to us, it says that it'll be attached to the order of conditions.
So what you
So
can
that
do
would
is
be
you can
recorded.
sign the signature page, and then
Yep.
John will get back tomorrow or Wednesday, and then he can start working on the conditions for the order, because we don't meet again until September 16th. So we need to have it issued before that
Yeah,
unless
within the
they
time.
grant an extension.
So these are the conditions that they attached
Yep.
that have to be followed on the total protection plan.
Yep.
Is it part of the total protection plan, you gotta have a gap underneath your erosion controls?
I think
Not all the way, but in
there
certain
was,
areas.
they had a gate down the River Ridge.
Yeah.
They had a gate that they opened and closed, and I'm not sure what the sequence was. And it was only during a certain time period,
Yeah,
yes.
the mating period, it didn't.
Do they indicate when that time period is?
March 15th to October 15th.
March 15th to October 15th?
Protective measures with state-listed turtles are required for any construction activities
Yeah, 7
between March
months.
15th and October 15th.
And what time they
They
can,
don't move very
you know,
quickly.
They move slow.
Yeah, that was the same condition that we imposed on the water treatment plant,
Yeah.
because there was all those turtles down there. So, if I recall, they had gaps in the, you get silt socks, so you can't get a gap on the silt socks, it defeats the purpose.
you know what they did? Here's what they did at River Ridge. They took corrugated PVC pipe and cut it in half. So they cut the PVC pipe in half, so now it's not heavy, and that's what they were using as a gate.
Okay.
So, I mean, Lauren will prepare whatever that is, or maybe it will be, might not be Lauren, it might be Oxbow, was the people who did the, I forget what it's called, it's for the National Heritage. So, we'll give that to you as well.
Okay.
I know Jane was all over it on River Ridge, so.
Yeah, they have more sightings of that turtle crossing each Belcher Road from neighbors and even herself, so. And she'd go into the swamps and look for them.
Okay,
So we,
So did we close the vote on that? I don't know what,
issue the order.
yeah, to issue the,
Did everybody
I don't think we voted. I think
No,
he
we didn't
seconded.
vote.
oh, you
gotta
said,
vote on it?
okay, so let's, all in favor?
Right.
Aye.
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 Thank you very much.
All right,
I think I'm all done, right? River Ridge?
I think that's it.
I think so.
As an update, I think I told you I'd update you is Arthurlet and Peterson, that area is pretty much done. I'm not sure that, I think the last thing they had to do was cut the silt socks and spread the mulch. And Mark is preparing a report to the commission on his review of the plantings along the left side of the road as you come in off of Main Street, and then the pond in the back. And then I think that will be done. That's what was the last thing. And again, that order of conditions was for only the infrastructure for Phase 1, which was Peterson and Arthurlet. And then there's the little one off to the left, which is, I think, Conway or Conrad or something like that. That's not part of it. So that has its own different orders. But what we'll be doing is he's going to come in and ask the commission for a certificate of compliance for that first phase so that we can get it accepted at town meeting in the fall. And hopefully, I got to tell him that you're not meeting in August, so he needs to get that in September.
So the one that has the bridge is a separate order of conditions,
Phase 2.
Phase 2. You have to let him know too, there's still silt fence that's buried around that wet area when it does run on both sides of the bridge, if I recall.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'll let him know. But we haven't told him to deal with that yet. He's focused on Phase 1. So,
That's the one that's down near the, not the Shell station.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's right next to it.
Yep.
Yep.
When it rained, it was so white.
What day is town meeting? You know?
somebody told me it's November,
Yeah.
so I don't know what day it is, though.
Okay.
And it hasn't been,
Posted,
right.
right.
Diane.
All right,
My name's on it.
thanks.
Wow, we got Rebecca twice.
Speaking of MIPA,
You're powerful.
Bill, speaking of MIPA, right? So I had a Conservation Commission matter, and we triggered it because it was denial. The order of conditions was a denial of a project. It was in a velocity zone.
Jim, do you want to adjourn?
Oh, yeah. Anybody like to make a motion to close the meeting?
I'll make a motion to close the meeting.
Second.
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And
There you go.